you hearties, I'm Pirate, the pirate with a pipe. I'm an extremely colourful playable character in that big video game with other extremely colourful playable characters, who have deep backstories and unique skills, like my pipe that can turn into more pipe. If this be sounding a tad familiar, it's probably because every scallywag and scurvy dog have enough unlockable accessories with crazy heroes to make a cosplayer feel like Polly the Cracker. This here be starting select and batten down the hatches for the common tropes in Magenta Games. Jeez, I'm not meeting that guy anytime soon. So, what are Magenta Games? Well, it's a pretty loose grouping for those games that have loads of characters, each with their own origin, gameplay style, and crazy design that'll make Salvador Dali think he was smoking the baby spliffs. It's a newer Netflix category of video game that has the hypercolour of Nintendo games, the madness of fighting game lore, and a lesbian dressed like a NASA space shuttle on the cover. I'm adapting the term from Yahtzee Croshaw, who described the trend when visiting E3 2019 in a zero punctuation video decrying the games industry while yanking off Doom Eternal like a buxom stepsister waving her finger disapprovingly as she gently drops to her knees. Many people use the term hero shooter, but I'm steering away from that because you don't need a gun to make a half-decent Magenta game. Plus, Yahtzee already doesn't get a kickback anytime a PC Master Race t-shirt sells on Redbubble, so I'm sure he won't mind another slipping through the net. One of the main ingredients in a Magenta game is a character selection screen and more bodies than a Korean boy band. You might even find they put their oodles of variety right on the box, like with Rocket Arena, an entire game about the moment a group of teenage boys go, "I'm bored, bazookas only." Although sometimes they'll put a mascot in front, like Springman, taking one to the face on the cover of Wii Boxing Extreme. Borderlands 3 has a lot of the traits, but only has 4 playable characters. Too few players lack the diversity that Magenta Games flourish in, or may try to do way too much in a small space. Like with Contra Road Corps featuring, and I'm not making this up, a part man, part Digimon, Kill Bill but the worst eating disorder, a werewolf Brussels sprout, and a panda! A strong colour palette is pretty damn important too. You're not dealing with a proper Magenta game unless it looks like a Just Dance party in downtown Hong Kong at a local clown school. Every visual element contributes to a particular stylized look, like the dark line comic book look of the world in Bleeding Edge, the broken shard style in the menus and contextual pop-ups in Destruction All-Stars, the rounded off character design in ARMS. They sell themselves and their style more than Janelle Monáe. And let's talk customizable elements like outfits or items or emotes. These unlockable bonuses are ways to add to the fun aesthetic. Although games that hard sell on the variety of their cool outfits can look like a Magenta game without actually being one. Games like Knockout City, like Riders Republic, Splatoon, Ninjala, Crash Team Racing, and, you guessed it, Fortnite, where the playable characters are cookie-cutter Agent Smiths, basically identical in design and playstyle, rather than fully thought-out unique characters. Although Ninjala does have a story mode and cartoon miniseries which gives some lore and cartoon personality. I guess you're not supposed to care that a snapback country boy and an inner city hacker both play like the exact same 5-year-old pretending to be an airplane. There's a difference between playing with a predetermined character and applying your preferences onto a blank slate. It's something I explore in my protagonist video. You should check it out when you can. Both options can be fun, but which do you think works better? Let me know in the comments. Character individuality is the most key element in the Magenta game. Using gameplay abilities that carve a mechanical niche, backstories that capture our curiosity, and design concepts that sound like the cutting room floor of an improv sketch group. Like, hey, what if a goth had robot chicken legs? Or what if Zeus was a dwarf? Or what if Mr. Freeze had a bunch more No game flubbed on creativity worse than a short-lived Wii U game called Lost Reavers that fought a Japanese tweenager, Wasteman Idris Elba, literally Jill from Devil May Cry, and Phantom of the Hacksaw was an inventive roster. The only reason I'm even talking about a game with camera controls and environments murkier than Rupert Murdoch's diary is so I have evidence it ever existed. But Overwatch rules the roost in creative characters. With so much colourful representation, it makes an ice cream parlour look like a KKK rally. The lore exists through animation and comics, and their varied in-game abilities are consistent with their character. That logical through line between design, backstory, and gameplay creates a more meaningful character that people want to experience more. And was probably noteworthy when it crushed Battleborn like a walnut between Twin Tails' perfectly toned butt cheeks. To paraphrase Wii Boxing Extreme's producer, every character is the protagonist in a Magenta game. Your favourite is the main player. Play with pride, and be the lesbian dressed like a spaceship you are born to be. And there we are, that's a wrap. But before we go, what colourful comments do we have in the Comire corner? Well, at Clumsy Southpaw on Twitter paid their respects to the father of Easter eggs, Warren Robert. I've got to spill the beans. I hope you go on to create a legacy too. Thank you so much for your comment. So guys, did I name every Magenta game, or can you name another? Let me know down below, or chuck me a tweet. And finally, I've been Comire, this has been Start and Select. Thank you, and good night. Nintendo just can't help themselves. They fill a space with things to prick your curiosity, test your physical and puzzle solving skills, and reward you with winning fanfare, points and high scores. Super Nintendo World is basically one huge game, a densely packed area with more fun things to do than a red light district.